All right, we are diving deep into a pretty sobering report from 2026 that lays out the real human cost of artificial intelligence. And look, this isn't some distant sci-fi fantasy. This is a hard look at what's already happening to our jobs, our lives, and what the next decade is really going to look like.
The entire analysis kicks off with this quote, and honestly, it sets the stage perfectly. For, centuries, the story we told ourselves was that machines were coming from manual labor, the hand. We thought a good education and a desk job were this bulletproof shield. Well, that shield is completely gone.
And that leads to the big question, right? If the factory floor isn't the main battleground anymore, where is all this disruption actually taking place?
The answer, according to this report, is something they're calling the Great Role Reversal. And it's a concept that pretty much flips everything we thought we knew about technology and jobs completely on its head.
The shift is just huge. The old threat was all about our hands, manual jobs being automated by physical robots. But the new threat? It's aimed squarely at our minds, those cognitive knowledge worker tasks that are now being automated by AI software. It's no longer about a machine that can lift something heavy. It's about software that can think.
And here's the number that just stops you in your tracks. The data shows that for every one blue-collar job at risk from automation right now, there are 10 white-collar, knowledge-based jobs facing displacement. 10 to 1.
So why is that ratio so incredibly lopsided? Well, it all boils down to simple economics. Physical robots are super expensive. They're complicated to build and roll out. But an AI agent that can do the work of a financial analyst? That's just software. You can copy it a million times for basically nothing. The return on investment for automating a six-figure salary is just way, way higher.
And this isn't going to happen all at once. It's projected to come in waves. We're in the first one right now, the dawn of disruption. This is where AI is a co-pilot, helping us do more with less, which leads to hiring freezes and those silent layoffs. But then, as we head into the 2030s, we get agentic AI, systems that manage whole workflows, and suddenly the lines between a junior and senior employee get really, really blurry.
So, okay, that's the economic side. But what does this massive shift actually feel like for the people caught in the middle of it? And this brings us to the real human cost, the psychological fallout.
The report identifies what it calls a brand new social class, the AI precariat. Now, these aren't just people who are out of a job. We're talking about highly skilled, highly educated professionals, programmers, designers, analysts who are watching their entire career path, their whole professional identity, just kind of evaporate into thin air.
And this is so important. The crisis here goes so much deeper than just a paycheck. For a lot of us, our careers are a huge part of our identity, our social standing. When that's gone, what's left? The report is really pointing to this as a massive, widespread crisis of purpose.
Psychologists are actually framing this as a mass, shattered assumptions event. You know that basic deal we all grew up with? Work hard, learn a skill, and you'll have a secure future? Well, that contract feels broken, and it's leading to something they call pre-traumatic stress, this constant, gnawing anxiety that you're about to become obsolete.
Now, this deep, personal anxiety isn't happening in a bubble. It's all getting amplified inside this really fractured global landscape. So let's zoom out for a second and look at the geopolitical fault lines this is creating around the world.
I mean, just look at this chart. In 2023, the US brought in almost 9 times more private investment in AI than China did. This is fueling an intense AI arms race, and it's leading to what some are calling a splinter net, where the digital world is basically cracking into 2 competing, totally separate camps, an American one and a Chinese one.
Meanwhile, you've got Europe trying to carve out its own path with heavy regulation. They call it digital sovereignty. But that protection comes with a pretty staggering price tag. An estimated $97 billion a year in cost for U.S. companies, a cost that, eventually gets passed down to everyone in Europe.
And then there's the Global South, which is caught in this strange paradox. They have the critical minerals that AI desperately needs, but that creates the risk of a new kind of resource curse. At the same time, they're providing the hidden human labor, the data labeling, the content moderation, that makes the whole AI economy run, creating a new kind of digital underclass.
So how are people responding to all this? Because they're not just taking it lying down. The report gets into this growing wave of resistance and a pretty radical rethinking of policy to try and manage this new reality.
Labor unions are starting to fight back, but in a totally new way. It's not just about wages anymore. Now, they're demanding transparency about how AI is being used. And this is a big one. They're asserting data rights, the right to stop a company from using your own work to train the AI that's going to replace you.
And at the government level, the idea of a robot tax has gone from some fringe academic idea to a really serious debate. On one side, people are saying we desperately need it to replace lost income taxes and to fund things like universal basic income. But on the other, critics are yelling that it'll kill innovation and just push companies to move somewhere else. It's a huge, messy dilemma.
All of this brings us to a major fork in the road. The report wraps up by laying out three very different potential futures, three scenarios for where we could go from here. Scenario A is basically the default path. It's where we end up if we just let things play out. A tiny elite owns and controls all the AI. While the rest of us live on some kind of minimal basic income, our lives basically managed by algorithms and surveillance.
Scenario B is a bit more optimistic, but it's also incredibly competitive. Here, AI agents become force multipliers, letting one person, a solopreneur, run an entire business by themselves. You could see a massive boom in individual creativity and entrepreneurship. And then there's Scenario C, which is the path of deliberate, conscious choice. This is where we use policy to slow things down. And as a society, we decide to shift our values. We start prioritizing things that AI can't do. Care work, art, community, all supported by a strong safety net and maybe a shorter work week for everyone.
So in the end, the report's conclusion is pretty clear. The technology gives us the new capabilities, sure, but it's our choices, our policies, our values, our culture that will decide what the consequences are. The real question isn't just about whether AI will take our jobs. It's about what kind of world we want to build when the 9-to-5 job is no longer the center of everything.
Thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment with any topic you'd like us to talk about in future videos, and don't forget to hit the like button.